Right, today we'll study a new sutta from the same volume, volume 20, sutta 12. Sona, well, you notice the original name is a short Sona Sutta. Now, Sona is a very common name in India. So here we have his family name, Kolivisa. Soṇa Kolivīsa Sutta. Okay, so this sutta is named after this wonderful arahat, the Soṇa Kolivīsa Discourse. A 6.55. Anguttara, the book of six things, sutta number 55. And there is a special, there's a alternate names, Viṇûpam'ovāda sutta or Viṇûpam'ovāda sutta. It's quite tricky sometimes to read it as one word. That's why I put in all those diacritics, all those signs. You see this little heart-shaped thing, it's like a cap like that. This over the U, over the A, over the I. But E and O, they don't have this. Sometimes you can put it, but not necessary. It means that two vowels joined together. In this case, you have Veena ending in A and then Upama, meaning example. In Malay, it's Umpama. Okay. Viṇûpamā. So it's two counts here. Okay, Viṇûpamā. Here again, apostrophe means a vowel is missing. So this A is missing, Upama, and then Ovāda. So it makes it's called Sandhi, the law of Sandhi. So if you pronounce it, it flows. Viṇûpam'ovāda sutta. So you break it up. What we do in class those days in a temple is we put a dot or we put a slash. We slash nu slash pa slash, that helps us to remember. Easier to pronounce the syllables that way. Viṇûpam'ovāda sutta. Now here there's a double T, so one T goes in front, one T goes to the back. Sutta. Okay, so in Pali, Sanskrit is very exact. You pronounce as it is spelled. In this case, the translation is the discourse on the admonition on the Veena parable. Veena is like a lute, a musical instrument, Veena. Admonition is Ovāda. Here's the Veena, okay. The theme is how to balance our spiritual practice, middle way, and so on, all right? So this is about Soṇa Kolivīsa. Now, Soṇa is sometimes called Sukhumāla Soṇa. Sukhumāla means delicate, because he was born to a rich family. In fact, when he was born, the family became very fortunate, became even richer. And they gave away lots of wealth, and they were still rich. So he was a very lucky person. He doesn't have to do much work or any work, in fact. So he just kind of enjoyed life, and but he was, of course, a very spiritual person. He's going to be an arahat, as you know, and so he started off in that way. And it is said that his hands and feet were very delicate, very soft, like hibiscus flower, according to the commentary. And his change came when he met King Bimbisara. As you know, King Bimbisara was a devout Buddhist, probably already a streamer at that time. So Bimbisara was very curious about this Soṇa, being very delicate and, like a royal person. So he welcomed Soṇa when he visited the palace with quite a big group of people, because in the suttas they use big numbers like 80,000 people and so on. So he came with this big group of people. And what better thing to do for Bimbisara and this crowd than to go and approach the Buddha? So when the Buddha is very happy, they are very happy. And of course, Buddha is the kind of person when you meet just first time, you'll be amazed at him, his calmness, his beauty, and his beautiful voice, and of course, his wisdom. So Soṇa decided he wants to practice the Dharma. Then he realized, wow, he's leading such a luxurious life. It's been very difficult for him to practice. So that's when he decided to become a monk at that time. That's really wonderful situation. He asked his parents permission, and of course with the king present and so on. So the permission was given and he became a monk, right? So we are seeing here this wonderful person in the Buddha's time whose good karma ripen into a better karma, into the best karma, which is coming, which this sutta is going to tell us about, okay? Now this Veena, in our times, the Veena looks something, there's a picture there, maybe we can go down, we'll look at the picture a bit further down. Yeah, there's this famous lady who plays the Veena, the Rudra Veena, right? So this is the modern Veena. The old Veena seems to be a bit more arched. So I'm not sure how it looks like, but it's something like this. It makes this beautiful sound. And it's sometimes called the three-string lute. So this lute appears in other situations, in other famous situations when the Bodhisattva was practicing austerity. He was torturing himself. You know, the story goes that the gods were very troubled by this because they're afraid this Bodhisattva will die doing all these very strict austerities, like not taking food and sitting in the sun and so on. So apparently the story goes that Sakra came down with this three-string lute. The first string was very tight and he struck it and then bang, it burst, right? And then the second string, the other side, is very loose, so it doesn't make a very good sound. And the third one is nicely tuned and it got this beautiful sound. Okay, this is a story of the middle way. You can say it reflects the mind of the Bodhisattva at that time, that he should be taking the middle way, which makes things right. So you can see this idea of the middle way using a lute is kind of highlighted in this sutta again, right? So let's look at the sutta now. Let's see, it's quite a, well, not a long sutta, but long enough for us tonight. So let's go down to the translation. Right, here we are. The Soṇa Kolivīsa Discourse, A6.55. Thus have I heard, at one time the Blessed One was staying on Mount Vulture Peak at Rajagaha. At that time, the Venerable Soṇa was dwelling in the cool forest of Sitawana, near Rajagaha. You see, notice this name, cool forest. In fact, you don't have to use capital letters. It's just the name of a kind of forest, the cool forest. Of course, we want to remember it's a special place, so we put in capital letters, but even small letters is all right. It's just called the cool forest because it was cool. I mean, most forests are cool, even in Malaysia and Singapore. You go into the, say, Bukit Timah forest, even in the heat of midday, you find it's very cool among the big trees. Because notice the leaves of these jungle trees, they are shiny, so they deflect the heat, if you like. Because they absorb all the heat they need, the rest are deflected. So you have this very cool under the trees in the forest. It's quite cool, right? So this is near Rajagaha. So here the story starts at a time when he was already a monk. He was already practicing, and he was really determined to reach his goal. This is the other thing we should know when it comes to these great arahats. The moment they met the Buddha, the karma just ripens. They just want to renounce. They just want to practice. I don't know. It's like some of us, when we hear the Dharma, we are really we're drawn to it. We just love it. I was writing about a group in the UK called the Samatha Trust. How they started. There was this young Thai man who just wanted to go to Thai, whose dream was to go to the UK for some reason, and so he trekked all the way from Thailand to India to Turkey, and then he reached UK after some adventures. But he had a very troubled teenage period. He's got no mother, and so on. And he learned a lot. And important thing is he became a novice. They all had to become novices at some time in Thailand as tradition. So he learned meditation. That's a good thing. And then when he went to UK, he was able to teach all these very simple teachings, and people like it. And then over the years, this group called Samatha Trust started and became one of today is the largest group in the UK. So it's an amazing story. I've written about this some time ago in the series on volume 60. And now I'm writing it, kind of echoing it in the Samagama Sutta, the latest one I'm working on in volume 62. I've also posted part of the sutta on Facebook. Some of you may notice, right? So here's where I mention this because it's amazing how this British Buddhists, with people like Alice Cousins and so on, the moment they see people who are practitioners, they can almost sense people who have this Buddhistness in them. They would request teachings and then they will practice it. I remember meeting Alice Cousins, the founder of the Samatha Trust in the UK, once in Bangkok. And I knew it was Cousins, so I went up to him and said hello, first time, probably in the 80s. And the one thing he said to me was, if you're in London, come and give us a talk. We just met, and that's the thing he says. So I'm amazed at him because he has this great faith. Whenever he sees a monk or a teacher, his idea is, I want to learn something. So you have this kind of wonderful feeling that this is the Dharma, you want to know it, right? So this is what happened to Sona also. All right. So this thought came to him. Then, while the Venerable Sona was alone in retreat, this thought arose in his mind. I am one amongst the Blessed One's disciples who dwell putting forth effort. Yet my mind is not freed from non-clinging, from the mental influxes. So he has some great difficulty meditating. So this is a high point where he thinks of giving up. So this story starts from that high point. When he said, I'm trying so hard, but this doesn't seem to work. This meditation doesn't seem to work. So he thought, now my family is wealthy, and I will be able to enjoy wealth and make merit. What now? If I give up the training and return to the low life, meaning lay life, enjoy wealth and make merit, like supporting the monks and things like that, giving alms. So this thought came to him. He was going to give up monkhood. Now, he is a man of great merits, and he is living very near the Buddha. So this thing is not just going to, end like that, all right? So what happened? Okay. Then the Blessed One, knowing by his own mind the mind of the Venerable Sona, just as a strong man would stretch his flexed arm or flex his stretched arm, that stretch the arm back and forth, disappeared from Mount Vajrapik and appeared right before the Venerable Sona in the cool forest near Rajagaha. So this is really a modern thing. I mean, you have this hologram Buddha appearing. Of course, today we say, oh, that's nothing amazing. We got computers, but those days where the Buddha appear before Sona, because he's ready. All right. So what did he say to Sona? Let's go down, please. Go down more, some more. Yeah. So the Blessed One sat down on the prepared seat. Notice here, every good practitioner always has an extra seat in the special place for the teacher, for the Buddha, who may come anytime. So here comes the Buddha. The Venerable Sona, having saluted the Blessed One, sat down at one side. Seated thus at one side, the Blessed One, actually here, the one seated at one side is Sona. Okay, so the Blessed One spoke to Sona, seated thus at one side. All right. Let's make a note here to correct that part a bit. So Sona says, yes, Bhante. Right. So now the Buddha starts the conversation by asking Sona, what do you think, Sona? Were you skilled? No, first of all, sorry. First of all, he asks Sona, do you think of giving up? And then Sona said, yes. And then the Buddha now counsels him with the parable of the Veena. What do you think, Sona? Were you skilled in playing the Veena before as a house dweller? Okay, so Sona, living a delicate life, he was good in playing this musical instrument. So he said, of course, yes, Bhante. Now, what do you think, Sona? When the strings of your Veena were too taut, too tight, was your Veena well tuned or easy to play? Indeed not, Bhante. We know the string broke, the string burst. So what do you think, Sona? When the strings of your Veena were too loose, was your Veena well tuned and or easy to play? Indeed not, Bhante. Right? So again, if the strings were loose, you won't get very good sound, or maybe no sound at all. What do you think, Sona, when the strings of your Veena were neither too taut nor too loose, but tuned to an even pitch? Was your Veena well tuned or good to play? Yes, Bhante. Even so, okay, so now from what we know, from what Sona knows, the Buddha brings him to new knowledge, to the Dhamma, from the world to the Dhamma. This is skillful means. Right? Remember, skillful means from the world to the Dhamma, right? Not from the world to a darker world. Right? Sometimes you get a kind of arrangement which is wrong, right? Even so, Sona, says the Buddha, if energy is put forth too forcefully, it will bring about restlessness. If energy is too slack, it will bring about sloth, tiredness, sleepiness, laziness, indolence. Therefore, Sona, apply your energy evenly, in other words, in a balanced way, harmoniously, and keep the spiritual faculties balanced, and therein grasp the sign. Okay, so this is the secret of good meditation. Keep the 5 indriyas, the 5 faculties, balanced. The 5 faculties you have start with faith. Okay, so Sona is a great law of faith, and then it puts in effort, there is concentration, and then comes wisdom, right? And in the middle of all this, guiding all this 4 is mindfulness. Now, when someone becomes, when one of the faculties is overemphasized, in the case of Sona is energy, then he needs to balance it with concentration, right? If we try too hard to concentrate and we cannot focus, then we have to switch a bit, to let go of it, and turn the energy in another direction. And so if you have too much faith, again, it might not work. So you need a bit of wisdom. It goes like that, right? So you have too much wisdom, you think too much, again, it might not help in meditation. You just have to let go and have faith in it. And what keeps the balance is mindfulness. So you see mindfulness in the middle of it. So once the idea is to keep the mind calm and balanced, then the mind is cleared of all thoughts and distractions, is able to see the sign. The sign here means the breath, in the case of breath meditation, has become a mental object. Okay, so that's called a sign. It's not more a physical touching, but it's a mental sign of peace, of brightness, of calm, right? So that's called a sign, nimitta, right? Okay, let's go on down, further down. Right, so yes, Bhante, the Venerable Sona answered the Blessed One in assent. When the Blessed One had thus advised the Venerable Sona, He vanished from the cool forest and reappeared on Mount Vulture Peak just like that, right? I think just like that is the parable which is cut short, to summarize the metaphor of the strong man bending some inwards outwards. Then the Venerable Sona, in due course, applied his energy evenly and kept the spiritual faculties balanced or harmonious, and therein grasped the sign. So he's able to see the mind object, meditation object. Right, so here the story of his struggle ends. He becomes an arahat. So the next passage, the famous arahat passage, I'll just read through them. Then the Venerable Sona, dwelling alone, aloof, diligent, exertive, and resolute, in no long time at all, right here and now, having realized it for himself through direct knowledge, attain and dwell in the supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which sons of family rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. So this is a reminder why people renounce, why monks renounce. And then he directly knew, personally, okay, knew, birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, done what is to be done. There is no more of this state of being, no more suffering, no more rebirth. So the Venerable Sona became one of the arahats. So here he has completed his goal, right? So he's very happy. So this is where the second part is Sona decides to meet the Buddha and joyfully tell him, well, I'm now an arahat. Right, so let's go on to the next part to see a bit more, right? So this is the 6 things an arahat is dedicated to, which Sona is going to talk about. It's like presenting a thesis, he's going to tell the Buddha, look, okay, this is what I've learned. 2.5. Then it occurred to the Venerable Sona, who had attained arahathood. Let me now approach the Blessed One and declare final knowledge before him. Okay, so notice here, there are many words for arahathood, and the word is final knowledge. Then the Venerable Sona approached the Blessed One and saluted him. Having saluted him, the Venerable Sona said this to the Blessed One: Bhante, a monk, an arahat with mental influxes destroyed, having lived the holy life, and so on. All these have been repeated before. No? Is intent on 6 things. Is intent on 6 things. Is intent on renunciation, solitude, non-violence, the destruction of craving, the destruction of clinging, and non-confusion. All right. So this is his teaching. You can say this is Sona's teaching. Like, start with renunciation, you leave the world, right? So when we meditate, we are practicing renunciation. When we watch the breath, we are practicing solitude. We are one with the breath. We try to be one with the breath. And there is non-violence. You are living at peace. And if you look at the moment when you are doing it, there's no craving, no clinging, your mind is clear. So at that moment, but it's only temporary. So you got to go on practicing. Right? So here Sona talks in a kind of he's presenting his teaching, his understanding of the Dhamma. All right. And then here you see Sona will go through each of these one by one. All right. So what I'm going to do is, I find that I'm taking more time here in this first half. I'm going to take a break now. What are the 6 points that of Sona's teachings? First is dedication to renunciation. It might be, Bhante, that a certain venerable here might think, could it be that this venerable is intent on renunciation on account of mere faith alone? Right? So sometimes some people may just turn to Buddhism because of mere faith. In other words, without wisdom, right? I mean, it's good to start with faith, but it's like the first step. You don't stay there. You move on, right? But Bhante, you should not be seen thus. Now notice the style of language that Sona is using. He's talking to the Buddha, but the reality is he's talking to us through the Buddha, so that his teaching continues to this day. A monk whose mental influxes are destroyed, okay, mental influxes refers to all those things that go through the senses and confuse and pollute the mind, right? Through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, through seeing, thinking, and so seeing, talking, and so on. Yeah? Those defilements are all destroyed. Live the holy life, done his task, whatever duties, whatever practices, all done. Does not see in himself anything more to be done, and anything else to be added to what has been done. Since lust has been destroyed, his mind is rid of lust, he is intent on renunciation. No more desire, meaning desire for the world. Since hate or hatred has been destroyed, his mind is free from hatred. Since delusion has been destroyed, his mind is rid of delusion. So in both cases, he's intent on renunciation. So a simple way of talking, renunciation is basically letting go of greed, hatred, and delusion. Letting go of greed means there's no thinking about liking. Hatred is thinking about disliking. Delusion is getting confused or at a loss, don't know what's going on. Wisdom arises. So renunciation leads to wisdom. Of course, it's an arahat talking, and it's good we are able to hear an arahat talking. So don't say things like, oh, it is also difficult, I can't do it. I mean, if every sportsman think like that, there'll be no Olympics, right? So I think all the sportsmen, when they go for the Olympics, they say, I will win, I want to win it. But the winning part is the last few seconds near the end of the run. So how determined are they? It's a mental thing. Mental effort must be made. It's called a second win, right? So determination. Right, so that's the first one. Not by faith alone. Dedication to solitude. So it might be Bhante, the certain venerable, he might think, could it be that this venerable is intent on solitude, hankering after gain, honor, and reputation, right? So some people, they become monks, they want to get things, become respected and famous. And again here, Sona says, nope, it is a monk whose mental influxes are destroyed, lived a holy life and done his tasks, do not see in himself anything more to be done. So nothing more to wish for. Anything else to be added to what has been done. No need for honor and fame, whatever. Right. So the three roots are destroyed. His intent on solitude. Now notice in 5 here, it is solitude. Right? Now, it just now was renunciation, right? So now solitude is the second one, right? So here the heading is solitude. Then non-violence. It might be Bhante, there is a certain variable he might think, could it be that this venerable intent on non-violence is backsliding from the spiritual core, clinging to rituals and vows? So instead of really being at peace, non-violent, they're caught up with rituals and vows. In other words, doing repetitive things and then saying all the grand things, but not really practicing. And there's still hatred in this person. But again, Sona says this is not so. Last, hatred and delusion are overcome, and that brings about not clinging to rituals and vows, but non-violence. Non-violence, right? So this is how we experience it. Yeah. You know, the whole idea, if you think this is, oh, I know this already, imagine if you try to write something original about the Dharma, you find with an unawakened mind, you just can't. But the way the suttas present these new ideas, which sounds simple, but when you reflect on it, it's very profound. The next, after non-violence, let's go to number 4 further down. Yeah. So this time, he says, because lust is destroyed, his mind is rid of lust, that is intent on the destruction of craving, right? So without lust, no more craving, no more wanting this, wanting that. Same thing, hatred is destroyed. Hatred and lust, they're kind of sisters or brothers, they're opposites. When you have one, you have the other. And then delusion supports both. So greed, lust, hate, delusion, or greed, hatred, delusion, they are uprooted, they're gone. Craving is one word for all of this is craving, right? So there's no more craving. And of course, craving is rooted in ignorance. This is one way to explain psychologically. Next, because lust is destroyed, because hatred is destroyed, because delusion is destroyed, so the mind is free from the 3 roots, then clinging, the mind, the meditator is intent on destroying clinging. Right? So here, first you let go of craving. When craving is gone, the clinging aspect also is gone. Otherwise, you have craving, you could have clinging also. Now, number 6, non-confusion. This is the last one. Because lust is destroyed, hatred is destroyed, delusion is destroyed. The mind is free from the 3 roots, no more confusion. This is non-confusion arises. Non-confusion is another word for wisdom, seeing true reality, right? So, or on a big scale, it is awakening itself. So in a sense, Sona here is summarizing his own awakening, right? And then he elaborates on this last idea on non-confusion as wise attention or as wisdom, if you like. 10. Bhante, even if strong forms, powerful forms, overpowering forms, cognizable by the eye, were to come within the range of the eye of one whose mind is thus rightly freed, they would not overpower his mind. His mind unmixed with them, not influenced by them, unmixed with them, right? Not influenced, remains attained to the imperturbable. Okay, imperturbable on a simple level means remain calm, unshaken. On a higher level means deep jhana. Technically, you can refer to the formless state also. And he contemplates on or observes their passing away, right? So whatever forms arise, the one who's wise, the arahat, is not influenced by it. They just watch it arising, passing away. Same thing with sounds, everything repeats. So all this will be italicized actually. Number 10. So here, same thing, when any sounds come to the ear, the arahat hears sounds, hear the sounds coming and going. Of course, the arahat understands what's going on too. You talk to the arahat understands you. The arahat hears conversations going on and he hears sounds coming and going. Same thing with smells, right? So even if strong smells cognizable by the nose, so it doesn't judge bad smell, good smell, just the smell, let it come, let it go, rise and fall. Okay, now next experience is the tongue, the taste, right? So here, this one, of course, you see this forest monks eating, they are very calm, very peaceful, and if they're very strict, they will mix all the food together. They're not going to say, okay, eat a bit of curry with rice and so on, They'll mix everything up. So they're not going to say, oh, this taste and this, that taste, right? So we never hear a monk complimenting the cook. He say, "Oh, you know, today your curry is very nice." Or this this dish is very nice. He will never say that. If he says that, he's not a good monk. So this is something very interesting, right? So the monk just watch this food, chewing the food, and then it's just taste, and the taste will arise and pass away, and that's it. The monk eats mindfully. Of course, the monk can compliment the cook by saying, "You have great faith. You have shown great faith in being generous in your dana," something like that. Bhante, even if strong touches Kolivīsa by the body were to come within the range of the body of one whose mind is thus rightly freed. Here meaning when the arahat feels hot or cold, right, or any kind of feeling on the skin on the body, it just again takes it just as feeling, and then see arise and passes away. Of course, here is a problem here. This is where the arahat can stand pain and he doesn't bother about it. So this can sometimes endanger his life. That is why he needs to keep to the Vinaya, so he will take care of himself, take care of his wounds, take care of his pain, and then he's able to live on and teach the Dharma. That's the idea, right? And finally, thoughts. Bhante, even if strong mind objects or thoughts, if you like, cognizable by the mind, were to come within the range of the mind of one whose mind is thus rightly freed, as the arahat, they will not overpower the mind. They here are the thoughts. The mind objects will not overpower the mind. The arahat will not be caught up with his thoughts. His mind remain calm, and he just contemplates, reflects on the passing away of these thoughts. All right. So then he goes on and say, okay, the mind of the arahat is like a rocky mountain. Suppose, Bhante, there were a rocky mountain of singularly solid mass, neither crack nor cleft, solid rock, right? So wind-blown rain will come to east, will not be able to move or shake it, or from the west, north, south, from anywhere, right? This mountain will just remain stable. So too, the six senses of the arahat is unmoved by the world, right? So you find this kind of statement in the Ratana Sutta also, which we used to chant when we were young. Okay, so the mind is calm and still, clear, able to see peacefulness around. And of course, the beauty of nature too. The arahat can see all that. All right, further down, now he's going to summarize all this, or rather, maybe it's the sutta compiler, summarizes all these teachings into the Sona's verses, Sona's Theragata. That is further down. So all these are repetitions, so that they are in italics. So here Sona is saying, so like this rocky mountain, the arahat is not troubled in any way by sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts. So all these verses are kind of a repeat of what he said earlier, so that the audience who follow the oral tradition can hear the words again and then remember the teaching. So now everything is summarized in poem form. This is another way of remembering the teaching of Sona, section 12. So you find that the Theragata THA, yeah, 6640 to 644. These are the elders' verses. Intent on renunciation and on mental solitude too. Intent on non-violence and on clinging's destruction. Intent on cravings destruction, and on non-confusion of mind. Having seen the arising of the sense basis, the mind is rightly released. So now he understands how all these emotions arise through the senses. For a monk who is rightly released, his mind is at peace. There is no more to add to the done, nothing more to be done. Just as a solid mountain of rock is unmoved by the wind, even so forms, tastes, sounds, smells, touches, and all states, desirable and undesirable, shake not such a one, and his mind remaining unyoked. Unyoked, that means not held back by anything, he observes its falling away. Right? So notice these verses kind of versify what he has spoken in prose earlier on. It's meant to be read as one verse, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines. No? So notice here, the all is hanging halfway and then stays here. Right? So this is the way Pali is to get, because of the measure of the words in a verse. Right? Of course, even just the all also makes sense here. All here refers to the mind, seeing all these sense experiences. So this is the story of Sona, reminding us to keep to the middle way in our practice, not to put in too much effort, nor to be too slack, just nice, right? And you only know just nice by doing it, by making some mistakes, but you learn. This is the thing about meditation. Even if you get distractions, when you get distractions, it means you are meditating. You are aware of the distractions, unless you're totally asleep. Okay, but even when you're asleep, that's because you're tired. And meditation is such that you will naturally take the rest that you need. And after you've rested, you come out of it, you continue with your practice. So meditation is just a natural way to heal yourself, to be happy. Keep to the middle way. In other words, this is what Sona is teaching us. All right, so I'm going to end the teaching here. We have just nice 15 minutes for questions and answers.
Thank you, Piya, for the teaching. Now we have a Q&A. Sister Aisin, please take over the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Ratna. Sadhu, Brother Piya, for the teaching. Let me read out the first question from Sister Huilin.
Okay.
The advice Buddha gave to Sona: apply the energy evenly and keep the spiritual faculties balanced, and therein grasp the sign. Why is the word grasp the sign being used? Grasp lean more on clinging.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's just a word. It's how we use the word. Okay. There was another occasion where someone tried to trick the Buddha, and he asked the Buddha, killing what is good? Killing what is good? He was trying to, maybe upset the Buddha and say, "We got such thing, you know." And the Buddha at once say, killing anger is good. All right. So the Buddha is very fast and sharp. Like, killing anger is good. So I don't think we would say, oh, that's terrible. How can the Buddha use the word killing, right? So this is called metaphorical use of words, poetic use of words. Words are how we use them, basically. All right. So grasp here it means directing the mind to it and staying there. So there are many ways of saying it. So here grasping is a very simple act without negative emotions. The other sense of grasp has got negative emotions. You grasp because of greed, hatred, or delusion. But in this case, we grasp to let go. So that's the way words are, right? It's how we use them. Okay. One of the problem words is like the word soul, because in Buddhism, there's a teaching of anatta. And yet, sometimes certain passages you see the Buddha also mention atta, self. So we got to look for the context. The rule to remember is this: no word has a fixed meaning. You may think, yes, certain words may have a fixed meaning in our time, but over time, this meaning will change. So the first rule is to remember words are how we use them. So you got to find out how is this word used by the author. or in this context, right? You got to find out the context. Secondly, you can use words in such a way when you talk Dharma, and it makes the Dharma beautiful and interesting. And people hear, they say, oh, I never hear it this way before. This is interesting, something like that. All right. So the word soul, for example, is quite tricky. Of course, we say there's no soul in the sense of abiding self. But Westerners or Western educated people, they find it difficult to say there's no such word as soul. I mean, they might agree with the Buddhist idea there's nothing fixed, no abiding entity. But the word soul can also mean something like this happy spirit, this spirit of what is really good in a culture, right? For example, we say, wow, this painting has got a lot of soul in it, right? Or we can say, this man has no soul at all. So what we mean is, he's got no kindness. He doesn't act in a human way, right? So these are special uses of such words. Of course, we wouldn't use these words in daily life. These are special words. What I'm saying is, don't get caught up with the fixedness of words. Then you will have the wrong view that words have a soul. They have fixed idea. You see what I mean? Right? So even words are non-self. Words do not have a soul, meaning they are not fixed in meaning. We fix the meaning. And sometimes these words change over time. You just look at the Oxford Dictionary, the OED, the 15-volume dictionary. They spend a whole life, many lives, in fact, few people, just recording all the printed words in English, how they were used, and then catalog them according to time, history. Can you imagine? That's amazing, the effort they put in. So you see one word when it was first used, recorded use, and then how the meaning changes over time. Words change in meaning, all right? Not all words, but most words. Of course, for example, the word Buddha, we wouldn't want to change its meaning, right? We understand the Buddha as originally intended. But the meaning has changed in China, for example. They talk about living Buddha. Right? So to them, the word for can mean anyone who is holy. Right? So meaning does change in culture. But it's possible for us to remember in special cases the intended meaning. That is something else. So we've got to keep our mind sharp and flexible. And what's the word? Perspicacious. Somehow be able to know the situation well, how the word is meant to be used. Okay.
Thank you, Teacher Piya.
Mm.
The next question from Sister Healing. In the 6 dedications of Arahant, there is no mention of destruction of ill will, which rightfully the ill will should be one of the 3 poisons commonly found in human.
It's mentioned in hatred, right? Under hatred, right? It should be under hatred. Hate or hatred is mentioned, isn't it? There you are. You look. I mean, you look at number 8, for example. Hate, because hate is destroyed, the mind is rid of hate. So ill will comes under hate or hatred. In my translation, I usually use hatred, so I think I'm going to change this to hatred, right? I like single sound words, but somehow hatred seems to fit better in this case. All right. So is that satisfactory? Ill will is subsumed under hate or hatred. All right. Okay. Next.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, the next question from Brother LCO.
Okay.
In this Sona Sutta, a rich Sona in lay life having advised by Buddha personally appeared in front of him, got inspired to renounce and join the Sangha. This is a special situation of Buddha is still around at that time.
Yeah.
But after more than 2,500 years after the passing of Buddha, how would anyone have such a chance?
Yes.
The Dhamma can be comprehended but hard to confirm and abide in lay life. Hence, we need to remain in the carousel of lay life round and round,
Mm,
learning and practicing.
yeah.
Is there any case of inspiration spiritually
Mm.
through meditation or dream or whatever?
Oh, okay. Quite a long question, huh? Yes, it's difficult today to renounce. There's so much distraction, first of all. And when we do renounce, the first day is good, but after that we start revising Buddhism and using Buddhism, and then we go for academic studies, and we think we know better than the Buddha, and then we have our own Buddhism, So there are many levels of challenges, right? And then we meet somebody famous, and we want to follow that person, and so on and so forth. So yes, it is very difficult. I haven't thought about this. I said, oh, what can I do? Maybe I should just sit back and relax, let the world pass, But then you find you can't do that. If you do that, you end up being like a stone, or like a frog, We have all this great faculty, ability to think. There are people who are able to invent amazing things, who can write great books, and who are great leaders who give us so much freedom. And yet the mind also is capable of destroying the three big wars going on in our world today. Can you imagine that? So the mind is capable of good and bad. We have a choice. The Buddha may not be around, but we have a choice. We can choose to be good and kind and help people around us to live happily, or we can create destruction. It's so sad, some religions can be the cause of centuries of destruction. So sometimes I reflect, I say, oh dear, I think the real problem is religion, If only there were no religion, like John Lennon was singing. I think what we need is really good education, and make it available to more and more people. And when they are better educated, not just in technology, then it won't be so good. You become like a Singaporean. you need more of the arts also, balance up. I was lucky to be educated at a time when arts and sciences are balanced up, and I was put in a science class because the headmaster said my result was good. I said, but I don't want to be in a science class. I said, I want to be in the arts class. I want to learn English. Of course, I did not tell headmaster I was going to become a monk. I said, I want to master language, English, and English literature, so that I can study the suttas better. So I told him, I said, look, I want to be in the arts class. So he told me, okay, now we can't officially put you in the arts class, but we put your body there, but your name will be in the science class. So, okay. So that's how Form 3, I went to the arts class and did arts so that I could study English, better my English, study some literature later on in sixth form. So it's a choice we make. What kind of world do we want, right? We don't even have to think of the Buddha in this case. But when you think like that, you are a Buddhist. That's my simple answer. And of course, you can ask more questions. Maybe I missed out some things. All right.
Thank you, Brother Piya. The next question by Brother Incheta. In para 6,
Yeah.
bracket non-violence, why only lust, hate were mentioned but not delusion?
In the 6, is it in the, I think in the list of 6, right? Well, delusion is mentioned. I mean, it's always the third one. Delusion is destroyed, then the mind gains non-confusion, all right? Usually in the teachings given by arahats or these even stream winners, you find the teachings are arranged differently. There's always something seems to be missing, but it's subsumed under something else, right? It's not that.
Yeah, interruption.
Yeah.
I think he's referring to bracket number 3, under delegation of non-violence.
Yes.
I think there's a line missing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Because
just
there's
make that-
since
make-
last and then since state and then no since
Hmm.
illusion.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just make a note of that and then let me know after the class so that we can fix it. Because sometimes, yeah, these things do happen. That is why we need proofreaders, okay? Now, one way to escape all this problem is to use the payalas, etc., 3 dots, So this is what the commercial translators, I call them commercial translators because the publishers tell them to simplify things. They remove chunks and chunks of repetition. So whenever there's a repetition, they put 3 dots, or they put as in what sutta, what paragraph. And that's really cuts you off from the sutta. You don't know what to add in, So here we try to put in everything, and it's not that simple because sometimes we can miss a line or a word. That is why we really need proofreaders. Okay. Otherwise, there are scholars who laugh at the SD. They say, "Oh, this SD, there are always mistakes." Every book written by scholars, there are typos. Even in the Britannica, even in the Bible, you have mistakes. You'd be surprised. So proofreading is very important. The errors doesn't mean the sutta are of less value. It's a human error, right? But thank you so much for pointing out because it will raise the quality of the translation. All right? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you,
Yes.
Brother Piya.
Yeah.
The next question from Brother LCO.
Okay.
How to balance our spiritual practice? Can we find a sutta that encourages lay Buddhists to remain in lay life and gradually practice positively and gradually get into stream Veena and hopefully next life to gradually climb the ladder to arahanthood?
Well, you can read up on Chitta, the householder. Chitta, the householder, he was a layman, and he's the wisest of the laymen. And monks go to him and ask for teachings. He's one of the great lay teachers, and there are a few other great lay teachers. Anathapindika also was a great lay teacher. There are a few others. I think we should do some research and find out who are these great lay teachers. Right? I'm very inspired by them. And so you look at their life, and then by the example, you tell yourself, well, I can still be a layman. Sometimes you're not ready, Sometimes we're not ready, or we have the wrong friends, or we meet the wrong teachers. So my life has been like that, I'm not sure where to go. The right thing I did was to go to Thailand, study Buddhism there. That was really good. But then, for example, when I went to UK, at that time I did not know about the Samatha Trust. I would have loved to meet them, because they were serious in their meditation. So we do miss things at times, but it's not going to affect you totally. You can acknowledge this and then study what happened, and then you build yourself up from there. You begin to know yourself. You start from where you are and you go from where you are. And the fact that, for example, you are willing and able to come for every lesson, or you try to study the sutta yourself, you have this idea of wanting to know more. That's a very good start. So don't think that you're not there yet. Well, you are somewhere. You're along the way, far, far ahead from many other people. So you start with that, and then you find as we age, there is this wisdom in us. If we keep going in this way, we don't give up, in other words, right? You find, you understand the suttas better, right? So now when I write, I enjoy the writing even more. I'm working on the Samagama Sutta from 20 pages, end up now with 50 pages, and I got to split up into 2 parts, talking about the Vinaya and the Patimokkha, and how some of these what I call conflict resolution methods used by the Sangha, 6 of them, can be used today for our own lay life. So I've given one example on my Facebook, right? So this is how we learn, by looking up the sutta. We have the index. You want the index, write to us. We send you the index. and look for the sutta, and when you just need to get one sutta first on lay teachings, and then you look at the cross references, you go from there, right? And from there you will you follow your interest, in other words. Okay? So you can start somewhere here, look at the footnotes, and then select one of the suttas that can lead you on. Somewhere in the sutta, even though it is taught to a layperson, taught to a monk, I mean, it also involves a layperson. Notice in this sutta, it is about Soṇa Kolivīsa, right? But it is classified in the Anguttara. Anguttara are, as a rule, teachings meant for lay people, right? So there's a reason why the Buddha, or rather the sutta compilers, put this sutta under Anguttara so that it will reach us. Okay, but then today we also read the Digha, Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya too. So it's where your heart is. Go towards the Buddha's light. All right, that's good. So we are slightly past time now. Any last minute legend question?
Yeah, Brother Piya, Brother LC, you're asking,
Mm.
when will the sutta lesson of the famous lay Buddhists be conducted? I mean, he's asking about just now, Brother Piya, suggesting the sutta from Ajata Satu, is it?
Which sutta is that?
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
You're referring to
you know,
Chitta,
our
I think.
sutta class here, the Zoom class is meant for lay people anyway. I mean, it's meant for anyone, even monks can attend because you can look at the sutta from a monk's level, right? But everyone here is a lay person, right? So you can say we are dedicated to a lay practice, okay? Anyway, you can write to us in case you want to have some special sutta or special group of sutta or areas of sutta to learn. Just write to us clearly what you need, and then we see what we can do for you. That's our purpose, no? We are like a sutta consultancy. Only thing we don't charge you. No? Everything is done by donation here through faith. So you write to us, we see what we can do. All right. Okay. Any other questions? Is that all?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So no more. This is your second call. Huh? Any direct questions? Okay. The last call.
We take photos.
All right, very good. Okay, we can close now and we'll short reflection. Right. This is always a happy moment because we have completed another session of sutta study. We have done some personal practice of renunciation. This is nothing spectacular through rituals or vows, but it is, we feel a sense of peace. We have our questions answered and our minds are directed more to learning. So remember this as a time of really wonderful kusala karma, wholesome action, which will help you in your daily life. So use this moment of wonderful spiritual power and peace to wish yourself happy, good health, clear mind, for as long as you live, long good life, and send those kind thoughts to others around you, near and dear people, friends, relatives, even enemies. May they be happy so that you become friends. This is the time to do it. Send those thoughts out to special people. Wish them well and happy. And of course, I wish each of you, I wish you very well and happy because you've been very kind to me. And most importantly, you love the Dhamma. You enjoy studying the suttas. And together we show our gratitude to the three jewels by saying, Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. We bow to the Buddha, Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bhagavan Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Down to the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.